Wait, this isn't Berlin. Superbooth 2026 has come and gone, and I'm taking a much-needed short vacation here in beautiful Porto, Portugal. But a vacation is not complete without reflecting on all the amazing synths that we saw. Now, if you watched my last video, which if you haven't yet, you should check it out here. It was more of a slice of life, kind of what my experience was like, and in short form, all the synths I saw. This video, on the other hand, is going to be for those of you like me who are the true synth nerds. So feel free to use the chapters to jump around because I'm going to be including lots of fully unedited interviews and demos with the manufacturers. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 5 best things I saw at Superbooth 2026 and a few honorable mentions, as well as a few things that I wish I had more time to check out. But as you know, if you know Superbooth, which I didn't, you're gonna run out of time. You can't see everything. There's just too much good stuff to see. Starting off with the first synth, which is the Genki Katla. Now, going in, I was really not sure if this was more of a gimmick synth, to be totally honest, because of the price tag and the volcanic rock, but I was very pleasantly surprised with just A, how beautiful this synth sounds, and B, which I think is really underrated, how intuitive and easy it was to design sounds on. And if you need more proof, my fiance Olivia, who does not know anything about synthesizers and doesn't even play instruments, was able to make a really great sounding demo, in my opinion, the first time she sat down without knowing anything about the synth. I think the Deckard's Dream CS80 style sliders really add a lot to this synth, and the one thing I'm still not sure about is the price. At 4,900 euros, it feels like this is very, very, very premium, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the most expensive desktop synth on the market right now, even more than stuff like the Deckard's Dream that I mentioned. So what do you think? Is the Katla worth it? Is it overpriced? Do you want me to do a review of it? Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Let's jump to the interview and sound demo. We're here with Alvar from Genki, and he's going to tell us about the Katla synthesizer.
Yeah, so it's called Katla, which is the largest volcano in Iceland. So we just, first we decided on that name, and then we wanted to make something that will live up to that name. So it's like very large and explosive, but also like inspired by nature, which can be also very gentle, you know. So there's like a lot of different types of distortion in it, lots of like minor movements that add like life into things. In like synthesizer terms, it's mostly inspired by paraphonic synthesizers.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can like change the octave and waveform and volume of each voice, but it is a polyphonic synthesizer.
Cool.
So you just you play it, and then it kind of just splits the notes up into each voice.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you can affect each voice independently, like each voice has its own amp envelope and own filter, own LFO.
Yeah.
So everything kind of gets very like unique and alive, like every note is so different from one another.
Very cool. And we were hearing there was almost like a stereo effect that was going on where the voices were panning around. Yeah. What was going on there?
Yeah, it is a stereo synthesizer.
Okay.
And we have like a stereo spreader, so that kind of like just moves the voices. But then you can also put the LFO on the...
I think that's what it was. So it's creating almost like a binaural effect.
Yeah, it's totally like
very
moving
cool.
around.
Yeah. And what is the signal path? Is it analog except for the effects, or?
Yeah, it's there are digital oscillators.
Okay.
But then everything else in the audio path is analog. So there's like an analog filter, the amp. Yes, that's
that's
VCA. VCA totally. Yeah. Then we go into a digital reverb, but at the end of the chain is analog distortion.
Great.
So it's kind of like a blend of both.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The next coolest instrument I saw at Superbooth 2026 is the Allen Instruments Spacedrum. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not always the biggest fan of drum machines because I program almost all my drums in the DAW, and the only drum machines that I've ever really used on my own tracks have been the Percons from Synth and the Poly and Play. And the Allen Instruments immediately grabbed my attention as a drum machine that falls into this category because it does something that I can't do in my DAW, and that is be used as an instrument. The one thing that I do think I wish they had done differently is having some sort of analog components in there, an analog filter, an analog master drive, an analog compressor. If I'm mistaken and there is one, let me know in the comments below. Happy to be corrected. But sometimes when you're using a hardware drum machine, having that master glue or master drive like on the Synth stuff can just make it hit so hard and really give it its own character. All right, we're with Roland from Allen Instruments talking about Spacedrum.
Yes, so what Spacedrum is a audio reactive and generative rhythm instrument as well. Not per function interface. What you see is what you get, and it exposes you to new ideas that you would have never heard before, but it's constantly inspiring. Can't wait to jam with you guys and show you what it's all about. So you can see Spacedrum is a non-per-function interface. What you see is what you get. You're able to control the intensity per drum, which you can get an infinite amount of hits, or you can diminish to almost nothing as well. So you can find your sweet spots or play this as a percussive gesture when you're playing live as well. You can control the pitch of every drum as well, such as with the hi-hats over here, and your pattern and time division. So for instance, what I like doing live when I perform is I'll have the first two bars playing a 4/4 rhythm, and then I'll go into a triplet as well for a little bit, and then go back in as well.
Sick.
Yes.
Seems like it'd be great for live performances and improvisation.
Absolutely. And it works well in the studio as well. It allows you to really capture the first takes in a performance, which will sound awesome on a record. So 16-bit sampling, when you pitch things up, you have that nice crunch and that nice aliasing, similar to an MPC style. But then when you go down in the middle, those transients hit really, really nicely, like in the middle.
Editor Devin here. Now I'm trying to focus mainly on synths that I haven't played extensively and things that are really new and exciting, but I did want to give a special mention to the supercritical Redshift 6. They've discovered and created such an exciting new feature for the synth, which is coming as a free update that I thought I'd let Timo from Supercritical take it away. All right, we're here with Demo from Supercritical, and they've got a brand new feature on the Redshift 6 that they want to show off.
Yeah, so what we have here is we have a new oscillator engine. So we have the 16 analog oscillators digitally controlled per voice. So now instead of detuning them as is the usual use or using them for paraphony, we're using them synchronized to the same frequency, and then we adjust their relative phases so you get this complicated comb filter and cancellation like effects on the frequency response. Like the original idea was that basically we could do something a bit like this. So kind of playing with the phases, you get this like stuff syncing, coming into sync, going out of sync, and this like flangery stuff. But as it turns out, we learned this ourselves like 2 weeks ago. If you just stop that effect, you get these static waveforms. They also have like super interesting like harmonic patterns and stuff. So you can do, for example, this all analog. Or
So cool.
yeah, we're amazed ourselves. Or something like, let's try. That sounds more like maybe like physical modeling or something.
Yeah,
where you'd
no
expect to
kidding.
get a sound like that. Or
Man, it's so cool. It's almost like a DX7 style of sound that you're getting out of there, but all in the analog realm.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
very,
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, and if you're listening to that kind, there's like more examples, but if you want to keep this short, like that shows off just some of the things. Like, and if you're listening to this, like then later with good studio speakers and stuff, you'll notice that it's like FM7 style, or DX7 FM style, but it's actually got a slightly different tone, and I think that's because it's analog, so there's no aliasing at all. It's kind of a little bit more present and like sparkly in a different way.
The next synth I want to highlight is the ASM Leviasynth. Getting an opportunity to try the Leviasynth and learn from Ken, one of the designers, really just opened my mind up about how truly unique and powerful this synth is, and I cannot wait to review it on the channel as well as do custom presets, so stay tuned for that. But namely, and I'll let Ken do most of the talking here, the thing that really blew my mind is realizing the potential for a 8-operator FM synth with analog filters, analog drive, multiple stages after of digital effects and distortion, and parameter locking sequencing. This is a huge one for me because talking to Ken, I was blown away by just the amount of things that I previously thought I could really only do with either plugins or things like the Electron boxes, the Percons. You can do all of that on this synth. It can be a full-on drum machine. It can be a full-on groove box. It can do tons of those cool industrial sequenced, almost modular sounds that I love to make. And the Leviasynth, I think, just has probably the highest skill ceiling of any synthesizer out today, and I can't wait to push it to its limit. But also, as you'll see, it's surprisingly intuitive for how complex it can get.
The digital oscillator section in this is running at a really high resolution. All right? So this is an all new digital platform underneath. It is not reusing the Hydrasynth in any way. What we are doing, though, is we're giving you a similar UI, so the workflow, if you're familiar with Hydrasynth, it's going to be very easy to step into this. In addition to that, things like the digital filters and the envelopes are the same from the Hydrasynth, but now you have higher resolution, you have more headroom in there, and we give you a lot of creature comforts on how you can design your patches really fast.
Sweet.
As someone who's a keys player, you don't want to walk into this feeling like overly intimidated by all these extra buttons. So it's kind of like a mixing desk in that when you see a mixing desk, you see a whole bunch of buttons and then you start to realize, oh, okay, like everything is actually kind of duplicated. So that's what you have here. So you have your 8 oscillators, right? So all 8 of these buttons and all of these buttons is really just your oscillator section here, right? Let's say I want a saw wave here, okay? But I also want a saw wave over here. Instead of having to individually adjust this, I can hold the save button, touch this, and now I've copied it and I can paste it anywhere I want. So I can paste the oscillators here. And it goes further than that. You can actually copy paste anywhere in the synthesizer. So I could copy a envelope out of oscillator 1 because all really of these have their own envelopes. And I could paste it into an envelope over here, right? So there's a lot of like little quick functions that make moving through the synthesizer really fast. Now, getting back to how our algorithms are different from a FM synthesizer, let's say, for instance, oscillator 2, if I bring up the level, you'll see FM start to happen, okay? And this is an actual oscilloscope reading the audio output of this, right? So now I have this this FM sound here, but what happens if I change this? Well, I can change this to something like pulse width modulation, right? And now there's pulse width modulation. And what's happening is it's the actual modulating oscillator is what's creating that pulse width. And that lets you do really powerful things. Like, for instance, if I drop the octave, now what it's going to let me do is you'll have 2 wave cycles and then the pulse width, right? So then oscillator 3, let's say I want that to be phase modulation, right? It's going to modulate inside of here.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's really cool.
Unlike the Hydrasynth had dedicated controls for the filters, but you had to press a button to go between filter 1 and filter 2. Now we have dedicated controls for the digital filter and the analog filter separately. Also, we give you a VCA screen where you can actually see, I'm going to go to this one here, you can see your levels, right? So this is your oscillators actually going through, and you'll see that there's no sound here because I'm not opening up the VCA with a key press, right? So if you want to do things like ambient pads or generative patches, you can offset your VCA just by bringing this up here.
Oh, that's awesome.
In addition to being able to do that, there's other creature comforts. Like, for instance, if you're in the filter section here and you wanted to add polyphonic aftertouch to your filter, you now have dedicated controls for polyphonic aftertouch, and this is featured all over the synthesizer. For instance, if I go into the oscillators and I go to the last page of the oscillator, right, poly aftertouch is right there, so you don't have to waste a modulation connection. It's already there for you. Another really powerful aspect of the synthesizer is we have a sequencer in it now, right? We didn't have that in Hydrosynth. We had our step sequence LFOs, which you also have here, but now you have a true sequencer. The sequencer is crazy powerful. So when you go into the sequencer section here, you can actually set up, you can set your length, you can have it be free length, or you can hard lock your length. But you can do per step modulation inside of it. So you can ratchet this and then you can sequence those changes, right? So if I go into here, this is your macro track, right? So you can just touch on whichever macro you want, and these are the individual steps. So you can offset here, and the ratcheting can go so fast that you can do AM synthesis with it. So you can actually have your patch ratcheting and changing the pitch and timbre of the patch just by. So the first order of business is make the player happy, and then we can make the nerds happy.
Dude, that's sick.
And trust me, I am very happy. So.
No, that's awesome. I didn't know that it had such a deep sequencer. I'm looking forward to diving in on that.
Yeah, and the ribbon also can be a transport control for your sequences.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can do really long sequences and then easily get to the back end of the sequence just by hopping around with the ribbon controller.
That's very cool.
And that sort of thing.
The next best synth from Superbooth 2026 is the Frap Tools Magnolia. No other synth in Superbooth immediately grabbed me like this one, where I came in, I got really lucky because it was really popular, but I came in at the very end of the day, so I didn't get a chance to chat with them, but I came in, no one was at the synth, and I just played on the synth for 20-30 minutes, started with some presets, started designing my own presets, and I actually ended up recording a very long jam, which I'll play in a second. The Magnolia is so intuitive. It feels like the same way that I feel when I sit down at my Prophet or Oberheim or OB6, because it just feels right. Everything is like logically laid out, and the parameters that you want to have on the front panel, they're just there. The build quality feels great. The keyboard feels great to use. Now, I will do my best to try to review the Frap Tools Magnolia. So if you want to see that happen, then comment below and let me know so I can have an idea of how much interest there is on the channel. Before we get to my number one pick from Superbooth 2026, I have a few honorable mentions. Firstly, the Buchla Ziggy. I'm really excited to see a more affordable Buchla. I had a ton of fun with this synth. The only reason it doesn't rank higher is because I'm not as familiar with Buchla synthesizers, but this is definitely one that I'd love to review and check out on the channel and turn into an education piece, because I think probably a lot of you who are viewing this are like me and not as familiar with Buchla. It's a hard word to say for me. Tell me in the comments if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But yeah, it looks like a great synth, and congratulations to them for winning Best Mono Synth of the show. The next honorable mention is the Soma Enigma. What a cool instrument. I think it's so interesting and esoteric, and I had a ton of fun using it, even though I wasn't really sure what I was doing. This is another one where let me know if there's interest in doing a review. It feels a bit out of my normal wheelhouse, but I had to shout it out because it's a cool idea. Next up is not a synthesizer, which is the Kabara Goya Storm Summoner. Now, this is from a Canadian company, shout out Canada, and the reason why this gets on my list is because I think it's a genuinely intuitive and innovative idea for a product. What Storm Summoner is basically a all-in-one wireless control hub with proprietary wireless MIDI software.
You can basically go in and assign pedal manipulations to all the pads that you see on the device, all of the sensors on the device, all the inputs, all the modulation sources. I can adjust the presets for each song as I move around different presets, and some of them are disturbing, some of them are fun. I will turn on a random note generator. Okay, cool. And so every time I press this button, it's generating random values for all 6 knobs on that pedal, and I can mess with the sound in all sorts of interesting ways. Most traditional MIDI wireless devices are one-to-one, and they cost hundreds of dollars. And so this is special because none of those things are true. It's completely standalone from Wi-Fi or Bluetooth signals. So you can use it in the venue, and your fans' phones won't clobber your signal. It's super solid, stable, reliable. It has all sorts of math going on in the background to handle clock effectively. So basically, it's really slick.
My final honorable mention is the Modal Element 1. Now, this is on here because I think this show was dominated by flagship instruments and instruments that are super expensive. So it's great to see Modal come back with a budget synthesizer that sounds absolutely awesome. All right, here with Christian from Modal, and yeah, let's learn about their new synth.
Yeah, hey, we released a new synthesizer called Element 1.
Compared to the Argon and Cobalt, which we've tried, is it gonna sound similar or different, or?
It sounds pretty similar because we have our typical Modal sound character
Cool.
built in. So we have something like this, you know.
Cool. All right, now finally, my number one most hyped grand prize winning synthesizer from Superbooth 2026. I mean, you probably saw this coming, but it's the UDO DMNO. Now, I'm gonna let George from UDO take it away because the reason why this wins over the Magnolia, over the Katla, over anything else on this list is because I didn't realize how much potential there is in this synthesizer.
Yeah, I think it's for the first time many people have played this.
Yeah.
So it's the first time we've got a sort of production sales model finished article for show. We
Cool.
announced it at a trade show called Machina Bristronica last year. But this is the finished article. It's
Yeah.
in the shops and people are buying it and playing it and making music, or
Very
at least
cool.
making some pretty wild noises with it.
Yeah. So, like, in kind of just an overview, like, what would make this synth special and what would make it unique for people?
Okay, all right. Well, try to rethink how you use a kind of keyboard to interact with the voices and the sound interfaces of a synthesizer. Think about these as a classic polysynth lineage with the supers. This is more about experimentation and using the sound engines differently. So what separates it, of course, obviously, is you've got your dominoes, your two synth engines here, side to side, and how they interact, how you can probabilistically choose one or the other.
Cool.
You can split them, stack them, layer them. You can feed the output of one into the other. You can feed the output of one back into the input of the other for feedback.
Oh, that's
loops.
really cool.
You can feed audio inputs into here and use it as an envelope follower, as a modulator source, so a really good use. Feed a kick drum in there and play something, or feed a drum beat, and you know you can do
Sidechaining,
sidechain type
yeah, pumping,
effects,
cool.
which is really nice. It's got a preamp on the input. Yeah, lots of creative ways to use the sound, basically.
Sounds good. Cool.
You can split them, stack them, layer them. You can feed the output of one into the other. So here I've got a bass.
Sounds great.
All of the harmonics and the interesting interactions
Yeah.
here, and it drives into the second one.
Wow.
And that's where you get really interesting effects.
So is it feeding back right now? Like,
no, what I'm doing is I'm sending the output of this one into the input of this one.
Ah.
And I've got pressure.
yeah, this is my kind of sound.
I've
This
got
is sick.
pressure
Yeah.
on this one doing a high pass filter. But let's say, for example, I'll make that one, instead of a high pass filter, I'll make it a phase shifter. See how it's sort of pumping?
That's very cool. So it'd be amazing for scoring. This is a very cool sound.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a,
Dude,
and let's say I
nice.
feed, instead of making that one a low pass, let's make that also a phaser. I don't think it's a one-trick pony, because
No.
it will also get your kind of really beautiful, just sort of cinematic sounds as well, which I gravitate to.
Alright, and that brings my best of Superbooth deep dive video to a close. Now, of course, I couldn't have the time to try absolutely everything. This is something I've learned for next year. I have to probably block off more of my schedule to just see specific things. A couple things I wanted to see but didn't have a chance to, and that's why they're not in this video, were the Bastel Kalimba. There was just constantly a line around that, but that looks really cool. The Enjoy Electronics Memento, which sounds amazing, and that's right up my alley. And the Nonlinear Labs C25. I played on this for a few minutes, just scrolling through presets, and it sounded great, but it was right at the end of the day and I was running somewhere, so I didn't have enough time to film a demo or really gather any thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think the most interesting and most exciting synths of Superbooth 2026 are, and let me know if there's any you specifically want to see videos of on this channel. As always, thank you so much for watching. With this video coming to a close, I think it's finally time for me to enjoy a much needed day off in Europe before I fly home back to Canada to get back at it. I'll see you guys in the next video.